Welcome in to Real Deal Sports Talk with me, KP. It's August 13th, 2017. We about to get real. Let's let this run a little bit. All right. Real talk. This is Real Deal Sports Talk with me, KP. I'm glad you are here. I'm glad you are listening. If you are out there in the sports world, you know what the deal is. There are many things going on, but for today's show, I'm going to focus in on the first week of the NFL preseason. We're also kicking off the Real Deal Sports Talk, my KP's division predictions. We're going to start off with the AFC and NFC West. We're also going to hit up on the NFC South on this show. We'll hit up every division by the end of the show on August 26th. For the rest of this season, we will be coming at you on Saturday nights at 6:30. That includes live when we do our fantasy draft on September 2nd. Still a few spots available there if you guys are still interested. How to sign up is available on the website, realdealsportstalkwithkp.com. All right, let's get into some news. We're going to just start right in with the scores going around right now this first week. First week of the preseason, as we talked about last week, my feelings about the preseason. Well, when it comes to the preseason here, first week, a lot of guys didn't play. A lot of starters didn't play. You saw a lot of guys sit. You might see some guys get a few reps here and there. But as far as final scores that are out there, and there's one game left in this preseason, and that's Seattle taking on the Chargers later tonight. That'll be on NFL Network. But going through the games, Carolina, they took out Houston 27-17 in their game. Deshaun Watson looked good. Christian McCaffrey looked good. The Panthers' defense looked fresh. The Dolphins take out the Falcons 23-20. No Cutler in that one. Still too early for him to play as Tannehill is officially on IR. Buffalo falls to Minnesota 17-10. Nothing really exciting there to talk about that one except Buffalo traded away Sammy Watkins, which we'll get into a little bit later. Patriots fall to Jacksonville 31-24. Leonard Fournette currently has a hurt foot, but he looked good in that game. Said it was easy to play. Well, it's the preseason, young man. Get ready for the regular season. Baltimore takes out the Redskins 23-3. Cleveland gets over on the Saints 20-14. In the Broncos game, they win 24-17 over Chicago. The Packers take out the Eagles 24-9. The Steelers over the Giants 20-12. The Bengals beat the Buccaneers 23-12. 49ers get over on Kansas City 27-17. The Jets beat Tennessee 7-3, despite Hackenberg playing quarterback. The Cowboys lose to the Rams 13-10. The Cardinals beat the Raiders 20-10, and my Lions beat the Indianapolis Colts, who looked dreadful in that game this morning, 24-10. Getting into some of these games, again, it's the preseason. It's hard to really say you like anything, you don't like anything. Tyreek Hill, he looked fast, of course, for Kansas City. Darren McFadden looked like, he was healthy. He was getting positive yardage there in that game. The Jets and Titans game, that was just pitiful. Hackenberg, you're all over the place. I read you all wrong as a player. You might want to go bury your head in the sand, and that's just some real talk right there with that. And again, nobody really played. These were all glorified scrimmages this week. So as I'm going through, like T.J. Watt for the Steelers, yeah, he had 2 sacks in the first 5 minutes. That's great. But nobody blocked him on one play at all. It was a blown assignment, and the quarterback was right in front of him. So how much do you put in that? Mitchell Trubisky, he came in. Everybody's touting him right now and what he did. Really the only bright spot at quarterback in that game. And what can you really put into that? Because he wasn't facing the Broncos starters. He wasn't facing the no-fly zone. Broncos do lose more defensive players in that game to injury, possibly for the season. That's week 1. There's nothing really to take out of it. Week 3 is the week we all need to get to. So until then, enjoy your preseason. Have fun talking about it. It is what it is. It's preseason football. You got glorified scrimmages until week 3. Then guys go all out for about 2.5, maybe 3 quarters. And then it's gear up for week 1 while the coaches make the decisions on those last couple roster spots. So I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I love the preseason football's back. I've been watching it. I watched the Lions game this morning. I've watched the Broncos game twice. I watched the San Francisco-Kansas City game. I'm rewatching the Cowboys-Rams game right now. Watched the Carolina-Houston game. My wife's already going, wait a second. I thought football was only on Sunday, Monday, Thursday. I said, well, it's preseason. Now I can watch football with that NFL Game Pass anytime I want. So, honey, thank you for that. We will be enjoying that throughout the season. Okay, so other things going on in the world of the NFL. It is division pick time. Everybody likes to do those early division picks after the draft and go, okay, here's who they're going to play. Well, now we're getting into it. Games are going to start being played. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put my division picks out there. We're going to do 3 divisions today. I'm going to give you what I think their record would be for each team, what kind of things I'm looking at for each team, and then I'm going to tell you who I think is going to win the division. Okay, pretty simple. 3 divisions today, AFC, NFC West, and the NFC South. Next Saturday, we will do the AFC South, and then keep rolling it from there. We'll do 3 divisions next week, 2 divisions the week following that to wrap up all the divisions. That's where we'll also give our playoff seeding and Super Bowl contender predictions before the season. So we're going to get into it. We'll start off with the AFC West. I live in Denver. I'm a Detroit Lions fan. So we'll start with the AFC West. I'll start talking about the hometown Denver Broncos. I know a lot of my listeners, a lot of my friends that tune into the show and listen, they're Broncos fans. So here's what I got to say for everybody out there. Real talk. If you want to get at me, if you guys are interested on being on the show and debating me at any point, get at us on Facebook, Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. Get at us on Twitter, at Real Deal KVP, and we will make that happen. I will get you on the show. We'll hear your 2 cents. I'll let you know how you're wrong, and then we'll move on from there. All right, let's get into it. Denver Broncos. I got the Denver Broncos going 9-7 or 10-6 this season, and I give them the benefit of the doubt on that because of this defense. I think Joe Woods is going to be just fine filling in for Wade Phillips and moving into that defensive coordinator role. And I know all the talk about the Denver Broncos has been that offensive line, that lack of running game. They have no quarterback. What are they going to do with Paxton Lynch, Trevor Siemian? Well, you know what? They still got that beast of a defense. They still got Von Miller. Shane Ray's going to come back from injury. Shaq Barrett's going to come back from injury. Unfortunately, Billy Wynn is not going to come back from injury. They're missing some pieces right now, but it's early. It's preseason. Shane Ray, if he's back in the first couple weeks of the regular season, great. If he plays with the club for half the year, that's fine. You can put up with it. That's my dog in the background there. We got some weather going on, so you might hear her throughout the show a little bit. Hitting on the quarterback situation. I watched the first preseason game. We've all heard the talk throughout the offseason. We know which way the team wanted to lean towards with the first round pick. That was the rhetoric of everybody around this team, everybody reporting on this team here in Denver. First round pick, Paxton Lynch. You got to give him a chance. You got to do this. All the fan base here, majority of the fan base here, doing the same thing. To the point that they had to run a campaign, the decision. Fans are voting every day. Which team you on? Team Paxton, Team Lynch. What are you going to do with that? Well, Paxton Lynch has continued to show, and will continue to show, he has not got the mental part of this game. Yes, he has all the physical tools. That is why he was drafted in the first round. That is why they reached for him. That is why they missed on other players they could have had on their team, like a woulda, coulda, shoulda player. Oh, I don't know. Dak Prescott, for instance. I said it when they drafted him, and I'll say it now. Paxton Lynch is not an NFL starting quarterback. Okay? You either need to here's my qualifiers. You know how Bill Parcells had his big, long list of qualifiers? You had to do one of these things to be able to be his quarterback or for him to draft you at a quarterback position. Well, here's my 2, okay? You either need to run a pro-style offense and be able to read defenses. Not this standing shotgun and it's just let's hit the first read and run. So you're either running a pro-style scheme so you understand what you're looking at. Or the other thing that's big is the level of competition. Now sometimes, yes, you're going to find those diamond in the roughs that don't necessarily play for the Power 5 conference. But if you're a quarterback who hasn't learned to read defenses and you also haven't played against top-level competition, then I can't take you in the first round. That was the first mistake. I don't care what your physical tools are. Trevor Siemian has the brain. He's going to create fewer mistakes. That's going to give your team more opportunities. That's going to keep you in better situations. It's going to keep you out of, pick sixes and turning the ball over. Yes, there's a lot of 3 and outs. Mike McCoy and all those offensive coordinators they brought in this year, they're going to work on that. And right now, Trevor Siemian is proving he is the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. And Paxton Lynch has done nothing but prove he needs to sit on the bench and learn. Period. They're younger. They look refreshed. It's time for an opportunity. You got guys like D'Angelo Henderson and all these little quick receivers they're trying to get going, coming in. It's enticing. They have to avoid the injury bug. If they get hurt anymore by this injury bug this season, you're looking at 9-7 or below. They don't have enough depth. They don't have enough experience. Okay? They have players. They have a good defense. They have some weapons. But they don't have it to where they could get an injury bug and sustain anything or avoid not hitting anything. They have the early season bye. They have one of the hardest schedules in the NFL. So with that defense, I give them the benefit of the doubt. I see them going 9-7, 10-6. Basically what they did last year because of that defense, because of Trevor Siemian. I expect them to try and make some tweaks to their team before all is said and done. Moving on to the division winners from last year, the Oakland Raiders. I think Oakland comes back down a little bit this year from their lofty season last year. Great season last year. I think they come in at about 10-6 this year. Great thing, they extended Carr. Best thing that team could have done. I've been touting Reggie McKenzie since he moved over to Oakland from Green Bay and the things he's done there. The defense still needs to show mass improvement, in my opinion. Matt cannot. He's good. He could be great, but he's definitely not a guy that can do it by himself in any means. And if you go down and you look through their defense, you look at their cornerbacks, it's like, okay, who am I supposed to be scared of at corner? Sean Smith? Okay, maybe. But who else? Nobody, okay? You got nobody there. You look at their defensive ends. Okay, go through their defensive ends. Does Mario Edwards take that next step this year to help Khalil Mack? You look at their defensive line. Who am I supposed to, they've got guys, but who's going to step up and make a play on this defense? Who's going to be that next person? Does Bruce Irvin help and come into his own in this Oakland defense this year? Does, looking through the rest of the line, I'm trying to find another linebacker who I'm expect to jump off. They got 4 rookie linebackers. They got a second-year linebacker. All of their linebackers are young. They're looking for guys to step up and make plays. I don't know who's going to do that. Defensive end. I'm not seeing anybody there to help Mac. I just don't see it. Coming all the way back to safety, all right, I like Carl Joseph a lot. He didn't really do a lot last year. You got the ageless wonder and Reggie Nelson, who was probably their best defensive player last year, honestly, outside of Khalil Mack. But they just don't have anything on defense. It's a very much prove-me situation for the Oakland Raiders, and that's why I have them at 10-6. You can't expect them to have the same late-game heroics that they had last year. You have Donald Penn, your best offensive tackle, best offensive lineman, holding out of what arguably rivals Dallas as the best offensive line in the league. So you're going to expect some of those close wins to be a little different this year for Oakland. Could it be the same? Sure it could. But would you expect it to be different? Most likely. Marshawn Lynch, I'm great. I'm so happy for you. Great for you, sir. You get to play for your hometown team. That is every football player's dream growing up, is to play for that hometown team or that team that you grew up rooting for. You're doing mad things in the community. Respect. Nothing but respect. But now let's talk about the football side. And this, we're Raider fans. You're going to get mad at me. You're going to cuss me out. You're going to come at me at this one. But that's fine. Go ahead and bring it. We can talk about it. Everybody need to remember, Marshawn Lynch retired from football originally because of back issues. Okay? He's a running back. He's a pounder. As soon as he feels good right now, he looks smooth, looks fast, looks refreshed. Of course, he's not getting hit. That back hasn't started getting that trauma. I give him till about week 6 of getting pounded on before you're going to start seeing that wear and tear and that hurt back again. Nothing against Marshawn. I don't wish him ill. I don't root against the Oakland Raiders anymore. I'm not a child. Okay, I grew up in Bronco country. But the fact of the matter is, I see Oakland going 10-6. I don't see beast mode being the answer. Moving on to Kansas City, I see them going 7-9. They might go 9-7. Andy Reid does win a lot of regular season games, but they seem to be going through a transition right now, moving to younger guys. They look like they're potentially moving into a transition at quarterback with Alex Smith into Patrick Mahomes. We all know that they let Jamal Charles go, and he's been oft injured recently. Andy Reid has been extended, so they do appreciate what he's doing there. And I mean, you're seeing things like Tamba Ali talk about basically just turmoil, upset about his situation and his play, and things that you haven't really heard coming out of this team as they consistently won regular season games over the last few years. So I see Kansas City falling back in this division, competing really with the Chargers to see who might be at the bottom in this division. Now the Chargers, speaking of the Chargers, they moved to LA. They're playing in the soccer stadium. They bring over Anthony Lynn as the head coach. This is a team I think is, I don't know, for lack of a better term, cursed. They have so many injuries. Their first round pick, Mike Williams, is injured. Their second round pick, the offensive lineman, is injured. We know about all their injuries they had last year and the year before that and the year before that. Phillip Rivers is not getting any younger, but he is a beast. He is definitely one of the top quarterbacks in this league, easily top 10, arguably still top 5. I would love to see him be able to do something this year, but, you know, we'll have to see if that comes to fruition or not. So, you know, 6-10, 9-7 if they manage to stay healthy. Winning the AFC West, I have either the Raiders or the Broncos, depending on whose powerhouse can win them more games, the Raiders offense or the Broncos defense. Moving on to the NFC side of the Western conferences, NFC West Conference division of the NFC, we'll start with Seattle. I got Seattle going about 10-6. You can't deny what they're able to do in the system that Pete Carroll is running up there. But is Carroll thinking about taking off? There's a lot of turmoil going on right there. Could this be one of the last years or the last year for Pete Carroll up in Seattle? If you look at his track record, when things start working, he leaves. USC didn't work, he left. New England didn't work, he left. Things, you know, with all this reported turmoil going on, that's something I think to look at throughout this season, whether or not Pete Carroll's able to keep this Seattle team completely focused. Because you know all of these little stories from the offseason of players not liking each other and things not getting along is going to continue to be asked throughout the season, especially if they go through any kind of a losing streak. And for me, this is a big season for Russell Wilson. Yes, he's had a good career to this point early on, but it's kind of a prove-it year for Wilson. It's the kind of year where you need to see Russell Wilson kind of have an MVP-type performance for the Seattle Seahawks. The defense has kept them in it for the last 4 or 5 years now. The offense has kind of made plays when they needed to, but the defense needs them to start putting up, you know, that 24 to 30 point range a game, so they can not have to win everything. They are getting older, and their window's closing because of that. So again, respect for the defense. Let's see the offense really kind of just take hold this year. Take Russell Wilson become the leader of this team and unify it. He's the one who needs to kill all this talk and go in there and be the leader, in my opinion. San Francisco, they bring in Lynch and Shanahan and the powerhouse couple in the offseason to turn this team around. They get rid of Kaepernick. That's a whole nother story we've talked about on this show. I think Brian Hoyer is going to get them through this season at least just fine, as long as he doesn't get injured. Now, just fine, what does that mean? Well, I got San Francisco basically going about 5-11 this year. They got a couple good athletes on their team, but nothing to get really excited about right now. They're building stuff. They had a really good draft, one of the better drafts. I really liked what they were able to do, pulling Solomon Thomas, let me bring up their draft real quick. Solomon Thomas and Reuben Foster in the first round. Akilah Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Colorado, in the third round. I liked him a lot. Joe Williams falling to him at running back at Utah in the fourth round. I liked that pick for this team. And again, this is going to be a young team. They have 5-year contracts for both Shanahan and Lynch. So they're going to give this team time to build and time to work out. I think just on scheme alone, okay, on young athleticism alone, you're looking at 5-11. They're not horrible. They're not great. They bring over Pierre Garçon. They have a Carlos Hyde. So they have some things there, right? They brought over the fullback from Baltimore. Can't say his name. Not even going to try. So let's see. This is a transition year. If they get to 5 wins, that's great. If they do better, surprise everybody, right? Arizona, this is a team I think, I don't know how to read this team. I can see them going as well as 11-5. I could see them not doing that well at all and falling pretty much average at, say, 9-7. Can Carson Palmer return to form and do another late season, career type year? Can he get back to that 2015 performance where he was controlling the field and hitting those deep targets? Can you take control or take advantage of David freaking Johnson? Right? This guy's a stud. He is beast. Out of the backfield, running the ball as a decoy. They're talking about getting this man 30 touches a game. If you're running a fantasy team, he needs to be one of your top 2 running back selections if you can get him. If he's not in your top 2, if your top 2 aren't Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson, I don't know what you're doing as you set your board. Period. I ran David Johnson all of last year, and it led me straight into the championship game. The man is a beast. They're getting really young on defense. They got Bubba Baker in the draft this year to join Tyrann Mathieu. They're kind of similar size, similar skill set players, versatile, can be used in different ways. Nkemdiche had a good performance in the preseason game the other night while he was in there. So again, I'm confused on Arizona. Josh Brown's going to be back healthy. Larry Fitzgerald's getting older. 11-5, 9-7. I know that's a big gap. That's probably one of my bigger gaps for any team that we'll go through. But they're a tough one to read right now, as is a team we're getting ready to talk about here in a few minutes. All right, last team in that division in the NFC West, LA Rams. I got the Rams going 6-10 this year. They just don't have a lot right now, and really I'm going to put that 6-10 on the defense. If Wade Phillips can get with Aaron Donald and get that team going, they have some pieces that I think of Wade Phillips. And again, Wade Phillips' defense, first year or two he's with a team, is very good. After that is when teams have been able to start picking him apart. And you look, he's got Michael Brockers, right? He's got Aaron Donald once he's going to come back. They're going to get him back. Connor Barwin's there. Mark Barron, the converted safety at inside linebacker. Ogletree's a good linebacker. Robert Quinn is a good rush guy who's going to be utilized extremely well. He's going to be the Von Miller of this defense for Wade Phillips. You still got Johnson on the outside. Kayvon Webster, who's worked with Wade Phillips in Denver the last few years, they got slotted on the right side. He's got a lot of talent, but didn't get a lot of play in that Denver system. And then you got Alexander and Joyner at the safety position. This is a defense that I think with Wade Phillips could get the Rams to 6-10 even with Sean McVay coming in, even with the Sammy Watkins trade coming over, Todd Gurley, I don't see Austin, I don't see the Rams offense with Goff just yet being ready to take off. Maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe they can get up to 8-8. I don't see it. I see this defense being what they have, getting them to 6-10. Winner of the NFC West, I have it either being again Arizona or Seattle this year. Moving on to the NFC South, last division for today before we get out of here. Again, appreciate you guys listening to the show. And if you want to be on the show, if you want to contribute to the show, get at us on Facebook. Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. We're on Twitter, at Real Deal KVP. You can find us on Google+. You can reach us on the website. There's ways to email the show. Our text line number's out there. So if you're interested, you want to be part of the show, you want to be part of the fantasy league, Real Deal Sports Talk with KP.com. All the information you need to be part of the show. Reach out, communicate with me. You can find it there. NFC South. Let's start with New Orleans. I got them going 6-10, flat out. Drew Brees. All I got to say. Drew Brees. They're going to go as far as Drew Brees takes them. And with that defense and that team that I don't have any faith in right now, sorry, Saints fans, I don't. I know you got Michael Thomas, supposedly this three-headed monster at running back with Kamara and Peterson and Ingram. I need to see it work. You guys have been average the last 3 years, 9-7, 7-9, 8-8, something like that, right around in there. You get rid of Brandon Cooks, your big playmaker, because Michael Thomas had a great rookie year. Well, now Michael Thomas is going to be the guy they take away. So you're depending on that three-headed monster that we'll see if that works at running back to get you wins. It's a defense that is in repair. You lose a guy before the season even starts to a heart issue, and you don't have a lot of talent outside of that. Not top tier that has been performing. Now, new system, new year, guys blending together, we don't know. But New Orleans, 6-10, all I got to say about that team, Drew Brees. All right, here's another team. This division is kind of a division that, because of the first to worst, because of how well they play against each other, because of the four starting quarterbacks in this division, this is a division that you could have these records swing either way for most of these teams. Carolina, I could see them going as bad as 6-10. I could see them doing as well as 10-6. They've got great young playmakers now. Christian McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel, Kelvin Benjamin looked like a stud the other night. Jonathan Stewart, the veteran running back there. You got the Khalil brothers. Are they going to help solidify that offensive line and give Cam some protection so he doesn't have to run as much? Not eliminate the run, just doesn't have to run as much. Can Cam's shoulder come back to form? We don't know what's going on there. They're being very secretive. Is his short throw accuracy going to increase to where he can take advantage of a Christian McCaffrey and a Curtis Samuel? I don't know. The defense the other night, I liked the way I saw their starting defense playing against Houston. Charles Johnson wasn't in there. Kaylon Short had a good game. Julius Peppers is eventually, I think, going to be a starter. Maybe not. He could just be a rotational guy at any of those positions. Latuile, he's your run stopper. You still got Kuechly. You still got Davis. The back end is, what it is. Carolina's going to go as far as their front end goes. They're going to create pressure, and the back end is just going to have to learn to make plays for Carolina. But I liked what I saw out of them the other night. So again, anywhere from 6-10 to 10-6 for this team moving forward. Tampa Bay, another team. This is a team, it looks like on paper, it's poised to jump off and do some big things this year. Possibly go 10-6 or better, right? They bring over a Deshaun Jackson to team up with Mike Evans. They drafted a Jared Allen, put him at tight end with Jameis Winston. They have Doug Martin. They bring in another running back from Boise State whose name is escaping me right now. So this team is offense. Now, don't let Gerald McCoy or Kawhi Alexander or any of those guys over there on the defensive side know that. But this team on paper looks like they're going to jump off offensively and just do big things. And if so, I see them, if that happens, they stay healthy. Doug Martin has a good year. 10-6, surprise team. But based on Tampa Bay's recent history, having talent, not being able to put it together, not getting what they need out of a team, maybe 7-9, maybe just average this year. Maybe another one of those average years for Tampa Bay. And it seems like, by all accounts, Jameis Winston is taking those next steps as far as NFL maturity to be a leader. He's getting with the guys. He's saying the right stuff. You're hearing the right things about him coming out of camp from his coach's mouth. You're not hearing ridiculous personal life stuff. So, I like what I'm seeing there. I'm kind of drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. So I'm going to pick Tampa Bay to win this division. But I do believe that they are 100% going to be pushed by Christian McCaffrey-led Carolina Panthers. And yes, I think the rookie is going to lead the Carolina Panthers because of his versatility, because of, at some point in the season, defenses will just try and team up to stop him, opening up other guys. Because of Kelvin Benjamin's ability to stretch the field at his size and open up the underneath for Christian McCaffrey. Because of Greg Olsen's ability to open up spaces for Christian McCaffrey. Because of Curtis Samuel's ability to use his speed, I believe Carolina will push Tampa Bay in this division, but ultimately I'm taking Tampa Bay to win the NFC South. That is the show today, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to tell me I'm wrong, if you want to tell me I'm right, if you want to tell me who you got, go ahead and get at us. Real Deal Sports Talk with KP on Facebook, at Real Deal KVP on Twitter. That's the show. Until next time, you know how we do. Let's keep it real.
La-di-da-di-da-di, we like the party. La-di-da-di-da-di, move your body. Get out your seat, no time to parlay. Cause up in this place we came to party. From Long Island, styling, profiling. We keep the ladies smiling, all the fellas keep wildin'. Keep doing what you're doing, come at this rap game with a whole different movement. You see your bandwidth, if you don't understand it, we innovative, not just another bandwidth.